Hello, everybody, and welcome to another tabletop stream where I'm doing another review. I decided to do 2 reviews in 1 week because this week may be kind of tough, and this might be the only day I can do any form of streaming. So I did want to touch base because I've been reading another book. Actually, I'm gonna power up my camera. Da, 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 da. Oh, I've been reading Avatar Legends. I actually ended up picking this book up, I think, a couple months ago. Let me see. I actually have a timestamp of when I bought it. Yes, I read a lot of books. I like to. That's right. I like to fucking read. I had a cutaway for this. Give me a second. Where is it? Oh, okay, yep. All right, here we go. I have a lot of books. I've been doing a lot of massive ordering lately. Orders. Let me see here. This one was around this time, I think. Right here. All right, I posted this. Oh shit! This was actually almost a year ago. No, not that far back. Okay, awesome. I didn't have this book for that long. I've had this book for a long time, but not as long as I'd like to think. Okay, that's fine. So I bought this around May 4th, actually. May 4th of 2024. And I'm a big Avatar fan. I did love Avatar The Last Airbender. I never did get in the Legends of Korra. It did not entice me enough to stay with it. But I'm a big Avatar person. And you know what? I got my son into Avatar, and he just loves the bending of the elements and the martial arts and all, just the style and the artwork that actually goes into this. So I decided I was in a gaming store, and there was a guy there, actually, the same gaming store I went to today, and I bought more books because I'm Tabletop Junkie. That's what I freaking do. Spend lots of money on books, and I don't know why. This is like a fetish for me. But aside from all that, so I was in a gaming store and I was picking up a bunch of stuff for Star Wars and I think Power Rangers and a few others. And he recommended this game for me because he said it was actually very popular, especially among the younger generations. And since I had my kids with me, I made my kids carry some of these out. He thought this would be actually a good addition for them. So it is backed by Magpie Games. It is licensed from Nickelodeon, because I believe Nickelodeon still houses the license, and basically, it's everything you would expect for Avatar, an Avatar thing. He talks about the four nations. It talks about the training. Even adds, it's funny. You got water bending, earth bending, fire bending, air bending, weapons, and technology. Which technologists is more like, it's like during the Roku era they might use smoke bombs and traps, whereas then the technologists in the core era might use electrified rods or mechanized vehicles. It does break that down for you, and in between tells you what you need to play, and then it gets into the world of Avatar, and it breaks down the world of Avatar into an entire gaming setting, and even gives you the world of Avatar right here. And next to it is actually a list of eras. If certain things didn't come about until certain eras, then they actually left alone. And they actually have the era color code. There's the neutral locations, which are usually the blue, which are, as you can see, just regular black dots. Those were in every era. The dot color changes to the correct era. Green for the Kyoshi, red for Roku, brown for the 100-year war. Aang era is yellow, and blue is the core era. And basically you have your Earth Kingdom, Fire Nation, Water Tribes, and the Air Nomads. And I think the Air Nomads have like 3 locations for them. 3 or 4 locations. But it basically breaks it down for you. Gives you a nice rundown. Starting with the Water Tribes that they have. The Earth Kingdom, like I said. And it goes into the whole setting for you. Okay. Now this is powered by the Apocalypse world. This is an Apocalypse World game system that they did use. And I did do some research on about why they used Apocalypse World versus anything else. They said that they were very, like, they're, I guess when Magpie Games actually first, I found an article and some information saying that they originally wanted to actually make this a 5th edition D20 using the 5e rule set from Wizards of the Coast. The only problem was the actual fans, when the idea was first posted, they actually went online and talked to the fans, and the fans are like, we do not want you to reskin Dungeons and Dragons into The Last Airbender, which would have fit perfectly fine given how the setting is and how and the types of games you could play with Dungeons and Dragons. But they did not want that. The fans wanted something of their own, something that and they wanted to use a setting that was more neutral based around that. So they used Apocalypse World, but it apparently that was just a framework. They did make some changes, so it's not 100% Apocalypse World. Now, I am not a fan of the Apocalypse World game system whatsoever. Not a fan at all. But they were trying to do the setting justice. What a lot of people have to realize, and I just sat down and had a talk with, I believe it was Spartacus about this. He was mentioning that some people may not like that as gamers because we love rolling dice. You know, there's such a term as dice goblins. Yes, all this is true. As you went through, it gives you significant themes for each era. Yes, all this is true, but the thing is, you guys got to remember that this is built for kids. It's supposed to be built for kids and generation of my generation and younger, people who have dealt with the Avatar on multiple levels, basically. See, when the Avatar first came out, for me it was a brand new show, and I was a kid. My son likes the entire show. I actually have the entire show for DVD. And then it basically goes into dice, like dice rolling, moves, what a move is, what you need to do to roll a dice, what is considered a hit, a critical, a fumble, and a miss. And it just uses 2d6s. And it talks about, the core elements is basically fatigue and condition and keeping them clear, as well as keeping your balance of your principles. You always have 2 principles to go with. Now, black and white is more like yin and yang. It doesn't mean, or good and evil, but it's not really necessarily that either. The thing is finding the center between the 2 principles that your class or that your playbook is going to give you. This does use playbooks similar to what the Apocalypse World actually uses. But it basically, as I stated before, it's still a game. So, making characters, you make characters by setting up your game. You choose your era, you choose the scope, your group scope as well, as that this is kind of a group thing. This actually puts the DM in a bit of a situation to where he's in the end, the book does state that he is the last arbitering person, but it basically gives them a great breakdown before choosing your playbook. Now, with the playbooks, this comes with 10 playbooks you can choose, as well as naming your character. Where is your character from? Are they from the Earth Kingdom? Are they from the Water Tribe? Are they from the Fire Nation? Or are they from the Air Nomads? Moving forward, you get to pick your training style: water, air, earth, weapons, firebending, or technology. Each one has actually different, and they even give you file style suggestions, or you can make up your own fighting style. Asks for your background. You have 6 backgrounds to choose from. You choose 2: military, monastic, outlaw, privileged, urban, or wilderness. I think you can choose 2, but you only have to choose 1 at a time. Then your stats. It comes with 4 stats: creativity, focus, harmony, and passion. Each one, there we go. You can't see it real well, but it's actually listed right there, and it does give a firm description about how it works, as well as giving you the breakdown of what generally it starts with. And in a lot of cases, which is mostly average, there are 2 stats related to +1. one stat rated to 0, and then one stat rated to -1. Basically, you have two stats you're good at, depending on what playbook you choose. You have one stat that you're kind of neutral at, because 0 doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It just means that, you're just kind of mediocre at it. And then you got a -1, which means it's what your worst at. And these stats can move up and down based on how the adventure as well goes. And then, it talks about moment of balance. What happens if you sway from one side to the other? A lot of good stuff, there. And you lose you lose control of your set powers. And then we go into chapter 5 where we talk about core moves, using moves as play, to do it or not to do it, basically. And it says to do it, do it. Don't be afraid to take the plunge. But it goes into basically how the system works. And and it tells the GM very easily what they would need to roll. And what they would have to hit to get that to work. Very, very fun. And you can also make custom moves as well. You have basic moves, you have balance moves, and you have advanced moves. A lot of good stuff to actually record and clip and all that good stuff. Combat exchanges tells you how exchanges work, exchanges versus basic moves, and how combat works. Now, generally in Avatar, no one is supposed to die. It is a kids show. They try to keep it around G or PG, even though there's fighting in it. The boulder is very much conflicted. Okay, and then we also have statuses. Statuses and conditions is another thing that they use instead of HP or power points. That way it doesn't drag out of battle and actually moves at a fast pace. And then you get into techniques, which is basically defend, maneuver, and attack, and advanced attack. Training combat gives you everything that you basically need, all right here, all in one chapter. Very easy, and it's actually a very easy read. I've read through it several times. Then it comes up with the playbooks. Who do you want to play as? You can play as... So we have the Adamant, which is a zealous advocate with a heart of gold. The Bold, which is a charming adventurer who knows they're greater than others assume. A Protector and Defender, which is the Guardian. A Hammer is basically a fighter. The Icon, I actually made an Icon character. That's basically a hero type. Their balances are role and freedom. Your role, you have a duty to your role regardless of what you want. Want in one hand, need in the other. And they even tell you that stuff right here. Like, you got restraint results, you get loyalty versus confidence, self-reliance versus trust, and the idea is to keep your character in balance. If your character sways to one side or the other, it'll change up how you play and how you progress through the game and the story. You have the idealist, a survivor of some terrible harm from their past. The pillar, a proficient leader. The prodigy, an extraordinary capable practitioner. The rogue, a vagabond who struggles to survive, and a successor, the inheritor of a massive, powerful legacy. Love it all. And then it gives you the playbooks, starting off with your starting stats, your demeanor, you get to pick 2 demeanors, and then your history and connections. And you basically put all this together, and you actually put this all together even as your characters meet up, or however you want to play with the story. And you know what? I have to actually say, the artwork is actually very good. This was another book that actually has extraordinary artwork to it. And it's sad because, the thing is, the Icon is premiered to be an Earthbender, and I made my Icon an Earthbender as well. I think I also made up 2 other characters, and they were both Firebenders. I think one was a Guardian, and I think one was an Idealist. I could be wrong. Let me check. What? Let me check here. Because I actually posted this on my Discord as well about how character creation works. So the class for one was an Icon. I did Guardian and Adamant, actually. Which the Adamant was also premiered to be a Firebender. So, but you only have 6 classes to choose from. The playbooks are generally, I generally call them classes. That's how they would. But yeah. And each one actually it looks like each one has different ways of how you can play them. And then we get into advancement, how what your characters need to do to advance to the next part and be able to advance your stats and make yourself stronger. Of course, you don't really get stronger. You just get more. Well, I mean, stronger's okay to say. It's just not really based on that. You just unlock different features of your character, I guess, or your personality traits. Things are, kind of confusing because we've always thought in D&D terms, but it's also a game of strategy. When one character is swayed to one side, you go to the other side. I believe you go, like, say, if the character was swayed to white, or let's say black, you would cross out the opposite section and the whole section, and that character basically would be retired because your character would have lost balance with themselves. We get into a chapter of the GM's role, of course. Some guidelines, some things that the GMs could use, what the GMs could do to, make drives, what the GM's moves can be, how to basically play with NPCs and whatnot. And my favorite part, we get to seasons and campaigns. What counts as a season, what counts as a campaign, what counts as a session, what counts as a game, story, all that good stuff. And then the chapter 10, basically running the adventure. I believe that was the last one. Before we get into the appendix stuff. The appendix stuff is actually quite my favorite section of it. We're not going to flip through all of this. Like adventure hooks and stuff like that gets into it. Then you get into the appendix, which gets into universal techniques, group techniques, stuff you can do, as well as water bending techniques, earth bending techniques, fire bending, air bending. What is required? Oh, this one you can be a firebender. This one you have to have firebender and have the specialty lightning as well. So, like I said, the system may not be as fun, but I don't know. Maybe for me, it's about the story at times, especially when it comes to Avatar: The Last Airbender. I think that this deserves at least a try. I am actually looking at getting with a couple people and putting a game together, specifically, for Avatar. So that's that. Okay, the artwork is good. The information is perfect. So there's two thumbs up there. The system is something to be left to be desired, but for them to want the system by itself, I do give that. So it's not 100% Apocalypse World, but it's not or powered by Apocalypse or whatever they call it. So it's not 100% that, and they did make some changes that would best fit the setting. I'm going to give that a neutral thumb. Overall, I think this game deserves a 7 out of 10. It definitely is a look into, especially for the younger generations. But the older you get, if you're not a huge fan of Avatar, then this is definitely not for you. I actually, at the lowest I will give it will be 6 out of 10. I can go lower, 6 out of 10. Or if you want to be a must, I'll give it a rating either 2 or 3 out of 5. Overall, though, for what the setting is and everything, I think this does justice, but we will have to see during a few test plays. Other than that, that's everything I have at this time. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and remember to work hard, play hard, game on, everybody. Have a great and wonderful evening.